Cleveland is on fire, and not in a good way. Reports are flying that the Browns are in the middle of a full-blown internal shakeup. And at the center of it all, Kevin Stefanski, Tommy Rees, and none other than Shedeur Sanders. Just when fans thought the chaos had reached its peak, Browns insider Mary Kay dropped a bombshell. Offensive coordinator Tommy Rees could soon take over play-calling duties from Stefanski himself. Yeah, the same Stefanski who's been clinging to that headset like his career depends on it. Because, well, it might. This move isn't just a coaching tweak. It's a potential power shift inside an organization that's been crumbling under bad decisions and worse execution. And then there's the twist that's got everyone talking: the possible return of Shadur Sanders. After weeks of rumors, bench drama, and silence from the locker room, reports are heating up that Rees wants Shadur leading his offense. You heard that right. The same quarterback Stefanski ignored could now be the key to saving Cleveland's season. It's a shocking turn of events that feels less like strategy and more like survival. Fans are tired, the media's circling, and the Browns front office looks desperate to prove they still have control. But behind the scenes, it feels like something bigger is boiling. An ego war, a power grab, and maybe even redemption waiting to happen. Because if Shadur really does step back on that field, and if Rees takes the reins, this might not just change Cleveland's offense. It could change the entire direction of the franchise. But before we dive into what comes next, let's break down how this entire mess even started. It's been building for weeks. The tension, the frustration, and now the explosion. The Cleveland Browns, a team once filled with hope and hype, have slowly turned into a pressure cooker ready to blow. Every game, every press conference, every decision from head coach Kevin Stefanski has added another layer to the chaos. And now, it looks like the breaking point has finally arrived. For months, fans have been begging for answers. Why does the offense look so flat? Why does Stefanski keep doubling down on plays that clearly don't work? And more importantly, why is Shadur Sanders, one of the most talented young quarterbacks in the game, still sitting on the sidelines while the team crumbles? Week after week, the same pattern: missed opportunities, confused communication, and a head coach who seems completely disconnected from reality. The frustration has reached a boiling point inside the locker room too. Players are tired. The media's relentless. Even insiders have started whispering that the front office has seen enough. Reports suggest that ownership is finally losing patience with Stefanski's my way or the highway approach. And when the higher-ups start meddling in play-calling conversations, that's when you know things are serious. This isn't just a rough patch. It's an identity crisis. The Browns are sitting on talent but no direction. Every time fans think things can't get worse, they do. From predictable drives to questionable rotations, Stefanski's once promising offensive system has turned into a predictable nightmare. And the players know it. Even analysts who once defended him are now calling this the final straw. The Browns aren't just losing games, they're losing belief. And when a team stops believing, that's when things start to unravel fast. Something has to give, and soon. Because if the reports are true and Tommy Rees is already preparing to step in, this could be the moment Cleveland finally wakes up. But before fans start celebrating, the question remains: who really pulled the trigger on this power shift? And why now? Every major shakeup in sports starts with a whisper, and this one was no different. When Browns insider Mary Kay first hinted that offensive coordinator Tommy Rees could take over play-calling duties, most fans brushed it off as another rumor. But now, that whisper has turned into a roar across Cleveland. Something big is shifting behind the scenes, and it's centered around one thing Kevin Stefanski never wanted to let go of: control. For years, Stefanski has been known as a meticulous, almost stubborn play caller. He wants things his way, down to the last snap. But that control has become his downfall. The Browns' offense has flatlined. and his safe play style to suffocated any chance of creativity. That's where Tommy Rees enters the picture, the young, bold offensive coordinator who sees the game differently. Rees has built his reputation on speed, aggression, and trust in his quarterbacks. He's not afraid to take risks, something Cleveland desperately needs right now. Reports say that Rees has already been quietly preparing for this moment. He's been analyzing film, studying patterns, and sketching out plays that actually fit the team's strengths. Particularly one player the fans have been dying to see unleashed, Shedeur Sanders. Sources close to the organization claim Rees believes Shedeur can bring back energy, rhythm, and confidence that this team's been missing all season. And if this power shift actually happens, it sends a clear message. The Stefanski era of control might be crumbling. The Browns front office seems to have finally realized that doing the same thing over and over doesn't lead to progress. They need a spark. They need life. And Tommy Rees might just be the man to provide it. Still, no one in Cleveland is pretending this transition will be smooth. Inside the walls of Berea, egos are clashing. Trust is thin, and the tension is thick. Rees may get the keys to the offense, but Stefanski isn't about to hand them over without a fight. And caught in the middle of all of it is Shadur Sanders, the player both sides are suddenly fighting to control. If there's one name that's kept Cleveland fans talking through every headline, every rumor, and every setback, it's Shadur Sanders. For weeks, his name has been whispered in every podcast, comment section, and sports panel. Not because he's been playing, but because he hasn't. And now, with Tommy Rees potentially taking over the offense, everything could change in an instant. Let's be real. Shedur's situation has never made sense. Here's a quarterback with precision, leadership, and an NFL-ready mindset, somehow buried under questionable coaching decisions and media silence. Stefanski's refusal to give him real reps has been one of the most baffling storylines in football this season. Even former players have started asking the same thing fans have been shouting for weeks. Why isn't Shedeur on the field? Behind the scenes, those close to Shedeur describe him as patient but hungry, training in silence, staying sharp, waiting for the opportunity that's been dangled just out of reach. He hasn't complained publicly, hasn't fed the drama, but everyone knows what's at stake. He was brought in for a reason. His arm, his vision, his poise under pressure. The very traits the Browns have been missing on offense. Now, with Tommy Rees rumored to be stepping in as play caller, the connection between the two is sparking fresh hope. Rees has worked with quarterbacks who thrive under creativity and speed. Exactly the kind of system that fits Shedeur's strengths. Insiders say Rees believes Shedeur could not only stabilize the offense, but redefine it. Fast reads, clean execution, and confidence under chaos, Shedeur's blueprint. But here's the catch. For him to rise, Stefanski has to fall. And that's where things get complicated. Because this isn't just about X's and O's anymore. It's about pride, politics, and perception. The question isn't whether Shedeur can turn the Browns around. Everyone already knows he can. The question is, will the people in charge finally let him? And as rumors swirl of locker room tension and divided loyalties, one thing's becoming clear. This isn't just a quarterback controversy. It's a power struggle. Inside the walls of the Browns facility, things are getting ugly. What was once a quiet disagreement about offensive direction has now morphed into an all-out internal war. The lines have been drawn. On one side, head coach Kevin Stefanski, clutching onto his authority like a lifeline. On the other, offensive coordinator Tommy Rees, quietly backed by players and execs who believe change is long overdue. And right in the middle of it all, Shedeur Sanders, the player who's unknowingly become the symbol of everything wrong and everything hopeful in Cleveland. Reports from insiders paint a picture of dysfunction. Coaches whisper in corners. Players trade glances in meetings. And the tension in the locker room is so thick you could cut it with a helmet. Some players have had enough of Stefanski's rigid style. They say his system kills rhythm, ignores chemistry, and shuts down creativity. Others, still loyal to him, insist he's just being patient, waiting for his plan to work. But patience doesn't win games, and Cleveland's patience has already worn thin. The front office, too, seems split. Some execs reportedly want to ride out the season to avoid drama. Others are pushing for an immediate shift, fearing that keeping Stefanski in full control could cost them not just games, but the locker room itself. Meanwhile, Reese, calm, confident, strategic, has become the quiet favorite among players. They see him as someone who listens, someone who actually understands how to use their strengths instead of boxing them in. And through all this chaos, Shedeur remains professional. He's not firing shots, he's not speaking out, but everyone can feel it, the weight of expectation sitting on his shoulders. He represents the new era that Cleveland's too scared to embrace. This isn't just about who calls the plays anymore. It's about control, trust, and ego. And when those three collide inside an NFL locker room, someone's bound to lose everything. But while the coaches and front office fight for control, the fans are making their voices heard, louder than ever. If there's one thing Cleveland fans know, it's heartbreak. But this time, it's not just about losing games, it's about losing faith. The city that bleeds brown and orange has officially turned on its own franchise, and the anger isn't quiet anymore. From local radio call-ins to national talk shows, everyone's saying the same thing. The Browns have lost their identity. Every week, the crowd grows more restless. Fans boo at questionable play calls, memes mock Stefanski's stubbornness, and hashtags demanding change trend after every loss. It's more than frustration, it's betrayal. Because to Cleveland, this team isn't just a franchise, it's family. It's tradition, pride, and pain all rolled into one. And when that bond feels broken, emotions run wild. People aren't just mad that the team is losing, they're mad that it's avoidable. The Browns have the weapons, strong defense, promising offense, and most of all, a quarterback in Shedeur Sanders who could actually lead them. But instead, the franchise keeps choosing caution over confidence, politics over performance. Fans are tired of watching talent rot on the bench while the same mistakes play out on repeat. Even media personalities who once defended the Browns are turning their backs. Headlines call the organization dysfunctional, tone-deaf, and directionless. One Cleveland columnist summed it up perfectly. They're wasting potential because pride means more than progress. And that's exactly how it feels. But amidst all the chaos, hope still flickers. When news broke that Tommy Rees might step up and Shedeur could finally get his shot, the energy shifted. Social feeds lit up. Fans started believing again, cautiously but sincerely. Because deep down, Cleveland doesn't want to give up. They just want something real to believe in. And now, as the front office scrambles to contain the storm, one question echoes louder than the boos in the stadium. Can this fractured franchise earn back the trust of the people who stuck with them through everything? Because what's coming next could either heal this fan base or break it forever. If Cleveland wants redemption, it starts here, with a reset, not a patch-up. And Tommy Rees may just be the spark this team's been waiting for. Insiders are already calling him the anti-Stefanski, a coach who actually adapts, who builds systems around his players instead of forcing players into his system. And the centerpiece of that vision? Shadur Sanders. Imagine this. A high-tempo offense built around precision, rhythm, and trust. No more predictable play-action screens or wasted downs. Rees knows Shedeur's game. The quick reads, the sharp footwork, the ability to stay calm when everything's collapsing around him. He's not the kind of quarterback who panics. He's the kind who dissects. That's exactly the energy Cleveland needs right now. Not just talent, but composure. Behind closed doors, sources say Rees has been sketching out offensive packages tailored specifically for Shedeur's strengths. faster routes, motion-heavy sets, and plays that open up the field instead of boxing it in. For once, the playbook might match the quarterback. For once, the Browns might look unpredictable in the best possible way. And here's the kicker. The players reportedly want it. Several offensive starters have been quietly voicing support for a more dynamic system. They're tired of walking into every Sunday knowing exactly how the first 3 drives will go. They want to play free again. They want to win. If this rumor turns out to be true, if Reese really does take over play calling and puts his trust in Shedeur, it could be the reset button Cleveland's been searching for. The city's ready, the fans are restless, and the locker room is divided but hopeful, because redemption in Cleveland doesn't come from words, it comes from action, from risk, from finally trusting the guy who's been ready all along. And if Shedeur gets that call, this story won't just be about a comeback, it'll be about a transformation. But that transformation comes with one huge question. Is Cleveland ready to let go of the past long enough to embrace what's next? Cleveland's story has always been one of chaos and resilience, a team that falls, burns, and somehow keeps coming back for more. But this time, the question isn't whether they can survive another collapse, it's whether they can evolve. Because if we're being honest, this isn't just a football issue anymore. It's cultural. It's the mentality, the identity, the refusal to admit when things are broken. The truth? The Browns don't need another rebuild. They need a reckoning. Years of poor decisions, emotional whiplash, and leadership blind spots have turned this franchise into a cautionary tale. And yet, even in the rubble, there's something about Cleveland that won't quit. Maybe it's the fans who keep showing up through snowstorms and heartbreak. Maybe it's the young talent on the roster, still fighting despite the dysfunction. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the belief that one spark, one player, could still change everything. That's where Shedeur Sanders comes in. His name isn't just floating around anymore. It's rising. Every time his story trends, the hope returns. Every time a new insider hints that he might start, you can feel the shift online. People want to see him play not just because he's talented, but because he represents something bigger. A shot at rewriting a tired narrative. A chance to turn Cleveland's chaos into clarity. But saving this team won't come easy. It means accountability from Stefanski, from management, from everyone who's been too comfortable watching the ship sink. It means making real, uncomfortable choices, starting with who gets to lead this team forward. So can Cleveland be saved? Absolutely. But only if it learns to stop protecting pride and start protecting potential. Because sometimes the biggest wins come not from the game itself, but from the moment a city decides it's done losing. And with Tommy Rees ready to call plays and Shedeur Sanders waiting for his shot, that moment might be closer than anyone thinks. Every storm eventually passes. But for the Cleveland Browns, the question is whether they'll rise from it or get washed away once again. This isn't just another messy season. It's a defining chapter, the kind that decides whether a franchise grows stronger from chaos or becomes another name in the long list of what could have beens. Right now, the Browns stand at a crossroads. On one side, there's Kevin Stefanski, the coach who refuses to bend, clinging to control as the world around him unravels. On the other, there's Tommy Rees, the quiet disruptor, ready to breathe life back into an offense that's forgotten how to fight. And at the heart of it all stands Shadur Sanders, the calm inside the storm, the quarterback built for moments exactly like this. If this shakeup really happens, if Rees gets the headset and Shedeur takes the field, it won't just change Cleveland's playbook. It'll change the energy of the entire franchise. For too long, this team has been defined by excuses, rumors, and self-inflicted wounds. But one brave move, one bold decision, could rewrite everything. The fans deserve that. The locker room deserves that. And Shedeur, after months of silence, sacrifice, and speculation, deserves that. His comeback wouldn't just be about football. It would be a message that no matter how many times you're overlooked, underestimated, or ignored, the work you put in always speaks louder in the end. Still, Cleveland's history teaches one painful truth. They've been here before. They've seen hope rise, only to watch it crumble. That's why this time feels different. Because now, it's not about potential. It's about survival. The Browns can't afford another almost. Not with the city watching, not with the league laughing, and not with the one quarterback capable of saving them still waiting for his shot. This is it, the make or break moment, the comeback or the collapse. If the rumors are true and Shadur Sanders finally takes control under Tommy Rees's leadership, Cleveland might just shock the world. But if pride wins again, then history will repeat itself, one painful Sunday at a time.